Hello and welcome to DallasWeekly.com. I am staff writer Katrina Satterwhite, and today I have the pleasure of speaking with Nathan Wright of Great Black Century. Nathan is our Forest Theater Artist of the Month. Welcome, welcome, Nathan. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you for having me.
Awesome. Well, first of all, congratulations on winning our Forest Theater Artist of the Month. That's
Oh, thank you.
yay! All right. So what I want to dive into is how you got into the art world. So let's just take a trip down memory lane and tell us how you got encompassed in the art world.
I was just kind of born into it. My dad is an artist. My sister and myself were both terribly baptized in the arts, just like we are all art. Which can be difficult when it comes to doing normal things. But everything is a project and a creation. We have to customize everything just for ourselves. So, but yeah, my dad's an artist. He his main medium was pencil, ink, oil, sometimes watercolor.
Oh wow.
And I don't know, he's just an amazing artist. His stuff still blows my mind. So it's I grew up. We would draw every Sunday night. Me and my dad, and my mom, on the other hand, does not have an artistic bone in her body. But she, I remember a couple times she had to fill in when my dad was out of town, and I'd be drawing. I'd have a whole page of stuff, and I'd look over at her page, and she just had a page full of hearts, because that's just kind of all she knew how to draw. but
Yeah.
but yeah, I've just been drawing and making stuff since I was a child, so it just feels natural.
And so it's just been embedded into the family, and
Yeah, it's I don't feel whole if I can't create something. It's not a hobby. It's nothing to be like, it's nothing on the side. Like this is the bigger portion, and everything else is on the side.
okay, awesome. I love that. Do you remember any first pieces that you made as a child that you just remember and you were like so proud of?
Um, yeah, there was a long stretch of Michael Jordan portraits in the early '90s. That's probably where honed my craft the most. Just working off of these photographs that I would find in Sports Illustrateds and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I had a gallery in my bedroom of like different Michael Jordan drawings and paintings that my dad would then frame in very nice, expensive frames. And so
Oh,
that's
beautiful.
probably of course you got you'll have like the very first self-portrait when I was like 4 and things like that. But like
Mhm.
the first ones I really made, where I was like, man, yeah, that's the one. I think it was probably early '90s when Michael Jordan era.
Nice. So, and I know it's important to have that support from family. So it looks like you did
Yeah.
have that, and it encourages you to keep going with that. So, when was a turning point when you decided you want to take this professionally?
Honestly, um, maybe 2 years ago. I've always painted. I've always created, but it's always been, I'm me and my friends are at the house buying age, and like people are buying houses, and so I'll do works and for them to buy and fill up their house. And so that was pretty much it. But at a certain point, it's just like I said, this is the larger portion of my existence or my functionality. And
Mm-hmm.
so I just got tired of like doing what makes me feel whole in my spare time.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, probably like 2 years ago. And then last year with the pandemic, and just actually being able to just be in my home and just like create and
Yeah.
just not have to worry about much. Other than living,
Right.
but other than
Yeah.
surviving the apocalypse. Um, yeah, it was just really nice, and I just came to a point where I was just like, what I want isn't outrageous.
Hmm.
And I know I feel like I'm talented enough to do it. A lot of this is imposter syndrome, and you just, you wonder if you're good enough, or if, do people really like this stuff? And so at a certain point, I just had to be like, I think last year was the real, like, okay, this is going to happen.
Okay. So your first, I guess, when you first kind of put yourself out there, what piece did you put out there for everybody to see?
It was actually this one.
So it was salad. Okay,
Yeah,
let's
yeah, yeah.
talk
So
about that. Yeah.
yeah, so the food park, the MLK food park. Um, I guess they were looking for artists. I didn't know anything about it.
Hmm.
They were looking for artists, and then I guess my name was given to the organizers as an artist that was here, like on the south side. I live in Oak Cliff,
Hmm.
and so I guess they kind of found me last minute, and so I had about 3 weeks to kind of come up with everything and get it done and get it
Wow.
delivered. And I wish I had more time because I wanted to do a lot more,
Hmm.
but yeah, this was my first public piece being shown. Like I said, I've got pieces in friends' houses and things like that, but like this is the very first public piece. So
Wow. So what has the feedback been like with putting that out there?
oh, it's been great. You just you kind of live with this stuff and you get used to it, and but just to see different people respond to it for the
Hmm.
first time is um I can't even really put it into words. Like it was special for me, and even more so to be about, I don't know, this part of town, and South Dallas. My mom is from South Dallas,
Hmm.
um, and so I grew up in Plano, but we come back to see cousins, and my grandma and all that lived down here, and so it was just special to come back to a part of town that I'm so familiar with and
Yeah.
have family history with. And my mom and dad will always tell me stories about MLK, and the Forest Theater especially, and so um, it just, I don't know, I don't know if I've fully processed it, but I'm certainly proud of where it's ended up, especially at the Forest, after all the stories and things that I've
Yeah.
seen, and it being such a historical landmarker in this part of the town.
Yeah, because that's like a full circle moment. I mean, this is,
Yeah,
your community, and you're bringing your art pieces to your community. And I know you don't need the validation for it because, art is your passion, but it
right.
feels good, I'm sure, just
Yeah,
to have your community.
it feels amazing, and also like I said, my folks spent a lot of time in the Forest Theater as teenagers, and they told me that it was like the hangout on Sunday evenings. My dad told me he saw Smokey Robinson perform next door,
Oh.
and so just for it to be like such an integral part of their coming of age, and
Hmm.
then to have a piece that's being displayed there, it certainly means a great deal, and it just felt great to be able to tell them that this thing that I made is going to live in this building that you all know and love. So
Yes,
it's awesome.
man, that's amazing.
Yeah.
So I do want to talk about the background of salad and where your inspiration came from to create this beautiful piece.
Sure. Um, so like I said, it was for the MLK food park. And um, having to do trying to trying to lead off of the theme of food, and South Dallas being a food desert, and it just made sense for green spaces um, to kind of be the centerpiece or the theme of the piece. So Yeah, it was kind of centered around green, healthy foods and what it would mean for that part of town um, to experience like this full rebirth and have health and food as
Mhm.
a pillar of the revitalization of that part of town. Um, First and foremost, though, is always a land acknowledgement.
Mhm.
I did some research into the indigenous tribes that were in this area um, prior to colonization, and
Mhm.
so it was important for me to put the seal of the Wichita people into the artwork. So it's at the bottom of the M in the MLK, um, and then some images from the associated tribes that I had found. So it was important that I work that in. Um, and then move on to where we are now and what we know today is South Dallas.
That's so beautiful because I think a lot of people are not familiar with the tribes
Hmm.
from that area. Were you kind of startled by some of the information that you found?
No, I mean, if you we know the basic history of this
Yeah, we
country.
did the base.
We know the basic history of this country. But it was awesome to dig down just a little bit and at least know the names of the groups of these people that were here
Yeah.
and to see the images of them. And so it wasn't surprising, but I don't know, it was awesome just to see. And I love I love the Haitian Revolution and the fact that the enslaved Africans, when they defeated the French
Mhm.
and the land was then theirs, they named the land after the indigenous people that were there. Like even though they fought and liberated themselves and that land,
Mhm.
they still had the presence of mind to be like, this still isn't ours.
Right. The irony, right?
Right, right. And so for them to still call it Haiti or Haiti, always stuck with me. And so, anything I do, even though I know what my ancestors did in this land, I
Mhm.
never forget that like this is somebody else's land as
Yeah.
well. And so I like to incorporate a land acknowledgement in all of my works.
Yeah, because I mean, even just the name, like you said, being able to put a name on, a tribe, that's huge.
Yes.
Because we only have so much information.
There's so much in a name, and I think about it a lot with my own like surname, like
Hmm.
it's not really my family name.
Right.
And so yeah, I feel like a lot of people who do know their family names, like they might take that for granted, but I know how important that is to those groups and tribes to see that they're not forgotten, and their names can live on.
Yes, I totally agree. So with the laboring of this piece, it's a gorgeous piece, by the way.
Ooh,
The laboring, I was just looking at the piece and I'm like, I'm sure a lot of labor went into that. What was that like?
it was a lot. It was these are 8-foot letters, and then just the M by itself was I think 6 feet 7 inches wide,
Hmm.
and so it was a whole Scottie Pippen just laying on the ground wide in my in my living room for a couple weeks. Um, so yeah, it was tough, and then luckily I have a background in building.
Hmm.
Um, and so I was able to make some legs and some hinges to kind of so that it could kind of stand up on its own. But yeah, man, those are I do um I wasn't a stranger to it though because I do like a larger canvas or a larger surface area. I don't necessarily work on canvas. I do a lot of work on wood.
Hmm.
Um and so it wasn't totally foreign to me, but it was definitely the largest surface I've ever done as to date. And so yeah, it was difficult to maneuver.
Did you have anybody to assist you with doing any of it?
No,
Wow.
no, no. It was just me, and It took me 88 hours.
Hmm.
And so, yeah. But you know, once you kind of get set up and figure out what you're doing, you kind of get the first of it started. It's pretty easy, but yeah, it was definitely tedious.
Yeah, I think that's you did a good job by yourself and in that
Oh,
time
thank you.
frame. In that time frame, that's amazing.
Yeah. Again, like I wish I had a little more time to do a little more, but you know, I did what I could with what I had. So.
But now you know you can definitely do that. So now
Oh
that
yeah,
you've
yeah,
done it, so
definitely, definitely, and that goes along with what you asked me earlier about when I decided to go public or professional. Um, I just when this opportunity came to me, I think I said yes before I had time to think about anything because I knew if I thought fully about it, I would probably scare myself or try to talk myself out of it somehow. And so I just said yes, and these letters were delivered at my home before I could even think about what was going on. And so I
right.
think that was a good thing.
Yeah,
Um,
we often work our best under pressure. I know I do. I work my best under pressure.
right.
So
No,
you give me
same.
a time frame, I'm probably gonna nail it. So
Yeah.
it
Right.
just makes you work like instead of adrenaline, it makes you work like harder.
Exactly.
I think
You find a good playlist and then you just get after it.
yes, yes. So
Hmm.
with the color, the yellow is I love the yellow. So what made you decide to go with that color?
So the colors were actually I just had to work with the paint that they gave me.
Hmm.
They gave me 2 gallons of because they already had architectural renderings of what the park was going to be, and so they had already come up with a color scheme, like a park wide color scheme, which was that yellow and then that blue. And then from there, I just mixed different shades of the yellow and the blue, um, and then just kind of worked from there, just so that it would still work inside of the scheme of the park, but still have its own identity as well. So yeah, that wasn't me, but I probably wouldn't have picked those colors myself, but I like the way it came out.
Oh yeah, it pops. I mean, you
Yeah,
can't really go wrong with yellow.
yeah,
So for each letter, of course, you have some images depicted there. Can you kind of go through each letter and tell us what you were trying to convey?
sure. Yeah. So the M, like I said, had the seal of the Wichita and affiliated tribes, along with on the left side of the M, it had some images that I found of the indigenous people of those tribes, and then on the right side, just fruits, vegetables, and like a black woman goddess of greens, just holding like a single leaf of of collard green, and that went along with the space of how important green spaces are,
Hmm.
and the food desert of South Dallas.
Yeah, horticulture is important. Yeah.
Absolutely. And then the L, I mean, the L, of course, is I think what got the forest attention. But I was just trying to think of like what summed up. I was trying to think of symbols that summed up South Dallas
Hmm.
in so many in as few images as possible. And so the marquee of the forest was just like, I mean, that was easy. It was a done deal. And then I, modified the marquee as well. Instead of saying forest, it says for us. And that just goes to, like we've we had been kind of abandoned on the south side of town for the longest, and so
Yeah.
yeah, this side of town became for us. Um, and so that was just a no-brainer. And I think the K is probably my favorite, which was an image of Big Tex from the state fair,
Yes.
and then just 2 brothers from South Dallas just climbed up on his shoulder to catch the wait, which way is he facing? To catch the sunset. There it is. Yeah, and so yeah, just again, just another kind of claiming our space, and it's like,
Yeah.
yes, South Dallas has these things for everybody to enjoy, but let's not forget like what makes this part of town rich, and who,
Yes.
because there can be an effort to try to mask or push to the back or erase the very people that made this side of town hot.
Yeah.
So now that all the, like I said, I live in Oak Cliff. I still live on the side of Oak Cliff where the gentrification hasn't made it over here yet.
Hmm.
But Bishop Arts, like they're you know uh, historical Mexican ice cream place got pushed out, and like you
Mm.
would never know that Black and Mexican people like made that side of town like
Right.
rich, culturally rich, before all that development. And so that was just something that I wanted to throw in. It's just like, yes, the Marquee, come to the South Side, enjoy the Force Theater once it reopens, but like let's not forget, what makes this side of town hot. Let's not forget where Erykah Badu is from. Um,
Right.
and and the same with the big techs. It's just like, yeah, come to the fair, but like let's not forget whose houses and land was taken away to make this fair and is still in jeopardy to this day. And
Yeah.
so yeah, I'm just really happy with the way it turned out. I don't I think out of the 3 weeks that I worked on it, I didn't know what I was doing for maybe 2.5 weeks. And then at the last minute, it was just like, oh, okay, that's what we're doing.
Sometimes
So,
it's like that, and I totally get the message that you're trying to convey with the big text. I mean, if you look at the symbol of big text, what big text looks like, yeah,
right,
we kind of didn't like fit into that. So I like how you have them like
mhm,
kind of like on there, like, hey, here we are. You know,
right, exactly. They climbed up. One brother got a pair of slides on, just to show he's at home, And so yeah, I think the K is my favorite though.
beautiful, beautiful. So if anyone wants to check out your work, where should they go to look to find like a website or?
Yeah, you can just find me on Instagram for now. I'm building my website now and kind of building out my whole infrastructure, but you can find me on Instagram at great_black_century.
Awesome, awesome. And I know you also do music, so I want to give you an opportunity if you want to shout some of your music out.
No, I mean that'll all be that's all on the Instagram, and it'll all be on the website when it goes up as well. So,
Okay,
hmm
awesome. Well, Nathan, thank you so much for your time today. It's been a pleasure. I've learned a lot about your art, and I definitely want you to keep putting that out there uh,
absolutely,
for the
thank you so
masses to
much.
see. And thank you so much for your time. Again, I am staff writer Katrina Satterwhite with the DallasWeekly.com. If you'd like to check out more interviews and stories like these, check us out on our Instagram. You can also check us out on Facebook and Twitter. Stay safe, guys. Thank you.